to do that only they will do, and if they don't do it, it's left undone. Give that kind of meaning to their lives. And then I think that some of the violence we see, particularly in Chicago, I don't see a 16-year-old shooting up a 16-year-old for $15 if they know that they got something greater to do. And I think that
I'm glad you mentioned that, because recently Beauregard wants to send the troops in there. And because they said, because like at one holiday weekend, they were shooting up out there.
Yeah, just this past July 4th, 70 people got shot over the weekend. Wow. That's a number it's hard for me to fathom, right? I was home one time and 30 people got shot within an hour. I was trying to figure out how the police could even respond to that many shootings. Separate incidents, right? It ain't like this was gang members going back and forth with one another. It's separate incidents around the country. So I think that we have to invite young people to explore why they're here, and when they don't do it, we see the chaos that we see.
What is the purpose of your books?
Right.
What's the purpose?
The purpose of my books is relatively simple. My line of thinking, spiritually, emotionally, physically, and psychologically, is that we ain't gonna be here but a minute. We're not gonna be here but a minute. And so what I'm trying to do, because I've done some damage. Like I said, by the time I was 12, by the time I was 10, I was in the game. By the time I was 12, I was in the gun. So I've done some damage in my life. Having a son at 15 is never a great thing to do. What I want to do with some of the time I got here is do some healing. So all of my books are me trying to make my minute count. Trying to do something in my minute that matters. And all of these books, to my way of thinking, invite that opportunity to do that.
How's your books coming along so far?
Well, the Beyond Self-Help is a book I've sold probably 30,000 copies of that one.
Wow.
Yeah, so that book's been used in a lot of re-entry programs around the country, a lot of addiction programs, because the book is really, the book invites the reader to explore why they think they're here. There's activities in the book.
What makes it different? Hold that book for a minute, please, my friend.
Okay.
What makes this book different from any self-help book out there on the market?
Well, I think in part, the title is Beyond Self-Help, right? And so one of the things that what this book is not, it is not a cheerleading, rah, 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 just go do what you want to do, be happy. That's not what this is. The first chapter in this book is Who Am I? The good, the bad, and the ugly. So this book invites us to do some work.
Give me in a chapter, show me in the book, what chapter? Give me a chapter, what you talk about Beyond Self-Help.
Well, I mentioned the first one right now. The first chapter in the book is Who Am I? The good, the bad, and the ugly. And each one of us coming to terms with the fact that we all got that in us. Some of us get so caught up in judging other people that we forget we got some work we need to do. So for me, I've decided to let the perfect people do the judging, and I'm just going to work on me while I'm here. So so Beyond Self-Help is a piece that there's no magic potions, right? This is a book that if you're willing to do the work for yourself, it invites you to explore what it means to be your best self in the context of what that means for you. I'm not trying to tell the reader what that is. So this book has more questions than it does answers. Right.
Okay.
So that speaks to the piece. Now, the Living in Shade is a book.
Yes, I'd like to. Yeah, well, tell me about that book.
Living in Shade is a book that I co-wrote with my son.
How was that, writing a book with your son? What kind of experience were you writing with your son?
So my favorite chapter in the book.
How was that experience writing with your son?
I'm about to answer that question.
Okay.
My favorite chapter in the book is called How Do I Forgive My Father's Flaws?
Interesting.
That's my favorite chapter in the book. So as I'm writing the book, he writes a chapter, I read it, we send it to the publisher, we get feedback, the publisher sends it back, says we think you need to go in this direction, But when he wrote the chapter, How Do I Forgive My Father's Flaws, it forced a discussion that we would not have had otherwise. It forced me to understand his manhood outside the context of what I wanted for him and what I think is the best for him. It forced me to confront the fact that he sees the world differently, and there's some things he wants for himself that may not be things that I would want, and that's okay. So writing the book with my son forced me to engage him as a man in a way that I had only engaged him as my son, and that's different. it forced me to grow in ways I wouldn't have grown without it.
How did he feel writing the book with you?
Yeah, so that's a question better asked to him than me.
Okay, but let me give you a little idea.
Yeah, but one of the things that we talked about, one of the things that the book, the last 2 chapters in that book is a message to my father and a message to my son. And so he writes a message to my father. And in it, he writes things that I wasn't sure he was getting.
Okay.
And he writes about gratitude and forgiveness.
Forgiveness, that's kind of heavy. What is...
And essentially he was making the argument that he's saying, Dad, I want you to forgive me for all the things that I am not, that I should be. And that presented me with a lot of challenges because I don't feel that way about him. But the idea that he can be better than what he is, I do want that as part of his life. And the very last chapter in the book is a message to my son.